Hi, y'all. This is Kristen Chenoweth.
Hi, I'm Gloria Stefan.
This is Sarah Bareilles.
Hi, I'm Patty Lapone.
This is Lin-Manuel Miranda. You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Theater Podcast, intimate personal conversations with theater's biggest names. I'm Alan Seals, and this is the quick little reflection section for our episode here with Michael Lee Brown. For those of you who don't know, Michael Lee Brown is the alternate in Dear Evan Hansen. And for those of you who don't know what an alternate is, it's basically an understudy or a swing, if you will, that has scheduled performances that they always go in on. And in talking with Michael, I was so impressed. I mean, I've talked with swings and I've talked I haven't actually talked to alternates before. I've talked to swings, I've talked to understudies, and I've always been impressed with understudies and swings because they have to often know the tracks, the movements, the choreography, the songs for multiple characters. If they're not understudying like one of the main principal characters, then like a swing will have sometimes 4, 5, 6 or more character tracks they have to know, and then at a moment's notice they have to go in if someone gets sick. Or I've even heard stories where and Beth Level in one of our previous episodes here talks about minutes before curtain she got sick and vomited in the wings, and so her understudy had to go on, and they didn't even have a costume ready yet at that point. But anyway, yeah, Michael Lee Brown, incredibly great conversation here with this guy. Also, happy birthday. He just turned 26 yesterday. So happy birthday to you, Michael, if you're listening. Gosh, you guys, I cannot go on about how impressed I am with this guy. He's a singer, he's a songwriter. He started out as an understudy, moved into the alternate, and still understudies other roles. So he's understudying Connor and Jared as well. So sometimes he goes on for the two of them when not scheduled to go in as Evan Hansen. But very talented, very impressive. Give it a listen. And as always, let us know what you think. To give me some feedback at theater_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. You can email me feedback@thetheaterpodcast.com. Listen and subscribe everywhere you find podcasts. Please give a rating. I really read those. I love those. It helps the podcast grow to continue to get ratings. Sit back, enjoy your commute if that's where you happen to be listening now. And here's Michael Lee Brown.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3.
Today we have actor, singer, and songwriter, and the alternate Evan Hansen in Dear Evan Hansen. Welcome, Michael Lee Brown.
Hey,
how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing? Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. And actually, this is the magic of time travel, recording this podcast. We'll release this. This is getting released on January 15th. Yesterday was your birthday.
Yes, it was.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
You're now 26 magically through time travel.
Yes. I always try to keep that ambiguous, but it's true.
Oh, sorry. We can. You're 20.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah, that's all I thought.
I'm 17.
Right. So, 17.
Yeah.
Well, you play a high school.
Yeah,
right?
I do. I play high school senior. Yeah.
So Evan Hansen's a high school senior, but I want to go back to the beginning, and I want you to tell me. Where did you grow up? What are your humble beginnings?
Oh, of course. No, so I grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, so a suburb of Philadelphia, so not too far away.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up going to taking the train in and out of New York City a lot because it's very close. Do voice lessons, acting lessons, and stuff like that. I actually went to high school in New Jersey called the Pennington School. It was a great school. It was like where I grew up in Bucks County. You're kind of like on the border between Jersey and Pennsylvania, so kind of felt like the same state in a way, But yeah, so I started out there, and I actually lived in LA for a little bit of time, kind of a couple months here and there. Culmination, probably about 2 years altogether. Did some things out there when I was younger, and I came to college here at Marymount Manhattan College when college time came around. So now New York City is home for me for sure.
And when did you get involved with like the musical side of life?
Yeah, so I grew up. My family's always been very much in the arts. My brother was a great songwriter. Is a great songwriter. He grew up playing for a bunch of different bands. He opened for bands like Avril Lavigne, and Pink, and Aaron Carter, and who else? Bunch of other people. And so he'd play all these different arenas in the area and like different venues and stuff. And so that's kind of when I got into songwriting, was listening to him so much all the time, because he's 8 years older than I am. So him always practicing at home and everything, I really got to learn how to write songs and what music is like. And so I probably started that about when I was about 10 years old, writing songs and getting into music. And then
So you were writing at 10?
yeah, kind of just, basic, very, very basic, but, learning guitar, getting the concept of how writing works and things like that, and just kind of absorbing how songs are made and getting into pop rock style music, which is what I really love. So I really love musicals that do that. Hence Dear Evan Hansen, that's pop rock music, which is great.
And your parents, did they support, did they do the same thing and like kind of lead you both in that direction?
Yeah, no. And also a sister too. She's a ballerina. I didn't say that. She was a ballet dancer.
wow.
So yeah, that was kind of my two siblings are both very artsy, which is cool. And so we always supported each other, which is fun, going to each other's events and shows and concerts, etc. But so my mom, she did theater in college. She was always very much into theater. And she's a great singer and a great actress and stuff like that. And she used to take acting classes on her own when she would go to New York and stuff from growing up. So that was cool. And she did some community theater and stuff. And my dad, he actually owns a travel company which sent kids to Disney World. So that was like his thing. So he, is kind of obviously creative and stuff, but not really working in the arts anyway. But both very much supported it for sure.
How often did you go to Disney World?
Oh my gosh, like 3-4 times a year. It's crazy because it was all like, because of the company we worked for. It was it was easy. It was great. So we went to like all the holidays a lot of the time. So it was fun. I've been big Disney fan because of that. Yeah.
My grandfather helped build Disney World. He was
wow,
an estimateur, they called him.
An estimateur.
Yeah, so he was part of the accounting team. It's less glamorous.
Like an Imagineer was the other. That's the one. Yeah, an estimateur.
So
that's so
estimateur.
Cool.
He would figure out how much all the rides would cost when, like, the engineers would come and say, like, "Here's all our fancy stuff. Keep it within budget."
Wow!
And so he would try to do that. So he knows all the secrets of how.
That's amazing.
Knew all the secrets of how everything was made and everything. And he told me once. Yeah, he told me once he would tell me, and he never did. So.
No.
How the secrets are done.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah, so they retired in Orlando, and I went. I love Disney too.
I've gone,
like tiny. We were in Florida, and we went multiple times a year.
Yeah, it's the best. It's such a great place to go.
Yeah,
I know. Even like I remember they had different like for engineering kids who wanted to learn about that, they take different workshops there. Like they'd ride Space Mountain with the lights on, and you'd see how slow it actually is, but it feels fast with the dark. So it's so cool, all that stuff, how it works. Such a creative place. It's cool.
I like the effort they put into the shows too.
And
that influenced me as a kid.
Oh, definitely.
To want to perform and
for sure.
Like that.
Yeah, and all the musicals. I mean, the movie musicals they had, which were very, the music was amazing, like Alan Menken's music and stuff like that. Yeah. Even Stephen Schwartz wrote a lot for like Hunchback and all those things, and it's just so cool. And the music was amazing. But yeah, I saw Lion King. That was such a, impactful show. And yeah, there's so many. It's amazing.
And when did you start? So you said you were starting songwriting at 10.
Yeah.
And you were writing, what were you writing about?
Oh my gosh.
As a 10-year-old?
I don't even know, to be honest. I wish I would have kept a lot of them,
Oh, you don't have your old journal?
No, I mean, those journals, they probably couldn't even read them, with how I spelled at the time. But no, I don't know. I guess just about it was probably, very, very simple day-to-day things at school and stuff like that. But with the songwriting, of course, it was always that and the acting for me, which has always really loved acting. And so I guess probably when I saw my first Broadway show, which I believe was Phantom of the Opera around that time, and then listening to the albums like Rent and those musicals is really what got me into musical theater. But I started getting to acting and with the singer-songwriting thing about 10, and my mom would take me to Philadelphia and New York where I'd audition like for commercials and stuff like that. Did little things like industrials and things like that, kind of getting my feet wet and auditioning and everything. And always being taken out of school at that at that age to do that.
So it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun,
Yeah.
And then it just kind of it's interesting. Like when starting that young, you really kind of get an idea of the things you obviously anything you do, the things you like to do, the type of shows you like to perform, the type of material you like to read and perform and everything. And so that's what I really think was so cool about that, was kind of starting that young to kind of understand that, which is cool. And then eventually like took me to LA, where then I continued to audition out there and kind of had representation out there and kind of learned how LA is very different than New York and everything. And
Very much.
yeah, very, very different. And that was kind of cool to get that, really understand the business side of it at a young age, which was cool. And I appreciate my parents for that, for supporting that, which was cool.
Well, I guess the business side of it, that's very interesting you mentioned that, because I used to perform myself, and when I got a computer science degree.
Oh, wow.
So that was my fallback, which is, taken me to where I am now at this point in my life. And I would perform with people who would have these amazing voices and have this phenomenal ability to act and whatever, but they had no idea how to market themselves. Yeah. And you are your own product.
It's true. Yeah.
So it's interesting that you said that at a young age of learning the business side of it. Is there something that, I mean, even now as now a 26-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
that you would have wanted to tell yourself at a younger age?
Yeah, I guess. I think this is always the main thing, and it kind of sounds corny, but it's true. It's always remembering why you love doing it, and I think that's super important. And that is corny, but it's true, because I think when the balance is off between always worrying, like I said, it is a business and you always have to focus on that, of course, too. But when you're only thinking about that, you start to lose the love of why you're doing it and the reasons why you're doing it. Mm-hmm. And I felt like when I started to let go of worrying about, every audition, everything, timing of when certain things are going to be done, which of course is great to plan ahead and focus on that. But when I just focused on, okay, this is why I love doing it, I worked harder and taking classes and really learning more, continuing to constantly learn. And so I think that is something that I think is very important. And I wish I would have even known sooner that, even though I did learn it pretty quickly, but I wish I would have learned that from the get-go, because I would have taken so many more classes and read so many much more books earlier on that I think would have helped me sooner, Right. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Well, but it's all good,
I hate to break it to you, but you're still young.
Oh, no, of course. No, for sure. No, exactly. I'm acting like no, definitely. And, but it's always, it's cool to, think back on that, but I wouldn't have known if I didn't learn.
Did you meet any, coming in and seeing the city a lot and being involved in the business, were you involved with other actors that were already on Broadway that kind of like shepherded you into the scene and gave you advice?
I mean, I definitely met people along the way who were more acquaintances, more like it's a little quote from the show, but acquaintances throughout the time. But yeah, I mean, I think because I was taking lessons with people who were working in the business and stuff, I did get to meet people in classes that were very helpful and influential for sure growing up. I can't think of anyone specifically. I did I went to college. When I went to college, I started out with a musical theater program for 2 years at Marymount Manhattan College. And then I left to do a show called Torch Song Trilogy. It was an out of town in DC, and it was directed by Michael Kahn, and Brandon Uranowitz was Arnold. And he was really great. I loved working with him and the rest of the cast, of course. And he went on to do a lot of great Broadway shows and still is. But I had a thought for that. I can't remember what it was.
It happens to me all the time.
There we got it. I got it. It's back. But I actually, when I came back to college, you find that when you do a theater program, a lot of the courses are year-long courses. So it's very hard to leave and come back and finish in time, like with only having so I left, I did 2 years. And then when I came back, I wanted to finish in 2 years. So I actually graduated with a communications PR degree and a minor in theater, since I'd already done 2 years of that. So I actually am a communications major, and yeah, exactly, PR. And started, and I I did a little internship in London for an entertainment PR company, which is really cool for a summer and stuff like that. And then I continued to take acting classes and singing classes outside of school within my college experience for the 2 years left. So, which was cool. So
you were in college, and then you left. You took a break to do Torch Song.
Yeah, basically took a semester or so off to do Torch Song, and then I came back.
Did you find that was harder to come back?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was doing what I love to do. I was doing 8 shows a week, and it was such a great show to be doing, and got to live in a different place for a while, which was fun. And the cast was wonderful. And so, yeah, it was hard to come back for sure, but it was nice to, continue to just, work as much as I could outside of it. and finish up college for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me the story then of now making your Broadway debut in Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, it's been awesome. Yeah, Dear Evan Hansen's a wonderful show. And I had first heard about it when I was actually in DC, I believe. It was around that same time when I first heard about it, because they were coming to DC kind of shortly after I was there. And and I remember saying when I heard about the show, because I actually went to Pasek and Paul's concerts throughout the city a lot. I went to all their concerts when they had them at like Joe's Pub and 54 Below and stuff. So I really liked their songwriting while I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Michael Greif, because of Next Normal and Ren and stuff, that was wonderful. And so when I heard about the show, I'm like, man, this was like a year or so before I even auditioned for it. I'm like, that would be the perfect show. I'd love to be in that show. If there's any show that I could pick, it would be that one. And so a year came past, and I had gotten an audition for it, and I booked it, which is great. And so it was kind of a surreal moment where I'm like, wow, I've kind of projected this for the past year that this is the show I wanted to do, and now I'm finally in it. It was really cool, and be playing Evan Hansen, which is awesome.
What was the audition process like for you?
It was over a summer. I went in auditioned
an entire summer audition.
Well, it wasn't that, but I think I had I believe I had like 3 auditions. I went in the first time, and I got called back a second time, and then there was a long break where then before my final callback, and then I got called back. So it kind of stretched from June to August, and I feel like I got the part like the last day of August. So it really kind of took up my whole summer, even though it was short within each time, But no, it was great. Everyone was there. The creative team was there, which is really cool. I got to meet them for the first time, and that was kind of a surreal moment for me too. Seeing Pasek and Paul sitting there, Michael Greif there, but the material was so much fun. And since I auditioned, because I alternate Evan Hansen, but I also understudy the 2 boys in the show, Jerry and Connor, I was learning their material as well, and so that was kind of a cool. I've never done that, like learning multiple parts before, so this was a cool experience for that too.
So you've always been the Evan Hansen understudy, and I know that you're still I know that you are now the Connor and Jared understudy.
Oh, yeah.
So you went in as understudy for all 3?
All 3, yeah. Yep. And then when they created an alternate position, that when Ben was around, Ben Platt was still around, I became doing the alternate position and then still understudying the 2 boys. And that's what I continue to do now.
So for those who don't know, the difference between an alternate, an understudy, a swing.
Oh, yeah.
What else are we missing?
Oh, there's standby and all these terms. Yeah. So I believe, I know at least with alternate is that you go on every week, your weekly performances. I believe that's the correct term for that. And so because I do go on every week for Evan Hansen, I'm considered the alternate Evan Hansen. But then for understudies, you go on randomly. And I believe standby is the same, but it's you're not on stage. You don't have, if there's an ensemble, you don't have to always be at the theater or something. But if you are an understudy, you have to be at the theater, and sometimes you're in the ensemble and you understudy some principal characters. And then swing is you understudy a bunch of different characters and swing in and out. And that stuff's crazy. I mean, there's dancers I know who have like 9 tracks, like in Wicked or Book of Mormon and stuff, and their head's got to be spinning. That's literally because of all the turns. But no, but it's but it's crazy. I mean, it's pretty remarkable.
That was something Nancy Opal mentioned to me. I interviewed Nancy for this podcast a few episodes ago.
Yeah,
and I asked her. Her Broadway debut was what, in 1980, I think it was. Yeah.
Oh wow.
No, 81.
That's amazing.
81. I don't remember exactly. I think it was 81.
Wow.
And no, 79. Because it was 1 year off of me. Yeah. Okay. So she's been doing Broadway pretty much as long as I've been alive, right?
Oh, yeah. Cool.
And I said, so what has changed for you? What's like one of the biggest things? And she, of course, being Nancy, went on lots of stories because she's wonderful.
Yeah.
But said that back in her day, there were giant casts. There were 40, 50 people in the cast.
Yeah.
You had your dancers, you had your singers, you had your actors. Yep. And now everyone's got to do everything.
Yeah. It's kind of true, yeah.
Yeah, so you get your swings and these people who have to know 4, 5, 6, 9 tracks, depending on who they're going in for.
Yeah.
And I personally, I applaud you, I applaud everybody, having to just, at a moment's notice, go in and like change for somebody, or be somebody, be another character. I think it's some of the most talented people in the business.
Thanks. No, I it's pretty. You're right, and I think it's hard. I really enjoy doing what I'm doing, and it's definitely hard to always, you want to keep track of each character and constantly. But I always give it up for those people who are doing those multiple, like 9.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that's crazy. It's unbelievable. But no, it's pretty fun, and it's fun that you get really different perspectives of the show. You really get to know the show. Like I know Evan Hansen like back of my hand because I've seen it. And actually, before I even went on for the first time, I watched it like 336 times. I kept count because I had I was like studying all the parts and everything. And And there was one week, I think the last time I went on for all three boys, I did two and two. So I did two Connor, two Evans, two Jared's in 1 week. And that was kind of like a very big test of of all my knowledge from learning the show, which was super fun. And no, there's times where I've had to go on mid-show, and then times where you get really last minute notice, like an hour notice that you have to go on. And so it's kind of just always being ready and prepared for sure. And just knowing the show so well is obviously helpful.
What happened mid-show?
Oh, just sick illness.
Really?
Yeah. Just not, Evan Hansen not feeling well and having to leave. And
Oof.
yeah, it's I guess it's a part of it for sure. And it's smart, if you're not feeling well, you shouldn't push through it if you really feel like you can't, So they throw a cast on me in a couple seconds and, and walk out. And it's so funny. It's really funny to see the audience at that point, because there's like this silence that's just
like, wait a second.
Yeah. And then you hear these whispers like, who's that? Who's it? What's going on? Is that Evan? Is this person? And then it takes, and then you finally feel them catch on. They're like, oh, got it. And now we're with it, so that's pretty funny.
The cast is a real cast, right?
Oh yeah, it's a real cast. Yeah. But it's one layer. I guess real casts have like 8 layers to it, but they just do one layer to it. So it is real, but it's just a little thinner.
It's a real cast.
Yeah, and they saw it off in intermission. Though I ripped mine off. I always Ben Platt used to do that, and I saw him do it one time. So I'm like, wow, that's a great idea. Like, why are we waiting for this saw to be sawn off? So I just start ripping it off. Yeah,
I guess that's a little bit easier. Is it? Does that mean that it's not completely dry?
Well, it is, but there's these, with the way they do it, that there's a little tab at the top. So you can kind of scrape it with your fingernail and then get it going. And then once it's going, it's good to wrap.
Well, that's not bad.
No, yeah, but it's fun. It definitely helps with the character, getting used to how a cast actually feels for sure.
Do you have a favorite of which character you like to go on for?
I think Evan Hansen at this point, just because I do it every week and I've gotten the chance to really delve into the character and get really comfortable with it. And I love the songs he sings. My favorite song is For Forever. And that's always like a fun, great song to sing every performance.
It's interesting. You understudy 3 different characters. What happens if 2 of the characters get sick, or has that ever happened?
Oh, yeah. That has happened. We have, there's other understudies as well. So there's, we have 2 other boys that understudy. One understudies 2 of the boys, and one other understudy 3 of the boys. So we have that. And also, like if somebody goes away or on vacation, we have vacation swings come in so that we're always prepared. And I believe there has been at least 2 shows, I believe, where all understudies have been on for the 3 boys, which was very rare, but it happened like twice, I think. That's what happens.
How does that change the show?
I just think different personalities, different ways of playing the characters for sure. I think people still see the great show that it is for sure. Everything, and it's always very, very talented actors that are stepping in. So that the audience is getting a wonderful show. But it's just a different perspective on the characters, and which is cool.
As an understudy, are you expected to mimic what the main person's doing, or do you bring? Is it as if you're cast in that role? That is you now on stage, and so you're bringing your own personality to it.
Yeah, I think it's a common. I mean, I imagine it switches with that changes with each director, I would imagine. But what I've at least working with Michael Greif, which is really cool, and based on what my understanding is that when you are an understudy, you kind of have to give a similar show to what the character is doing in terms of what the actions they are taking, because you don't want to throw the other characters off because they're so used to it. But I think it's finding your own unique way and genuine way to get to those actions. That's how I kind of looked at it, as like the character is expressing these certain feelings and these certain actions, but how you get there is all your own. And you want to keep that genuine to yourself, because when you're imitating somebody, it can come across very obvious that, oh, that person just copying whoever, but when you're genuinely getting to a place that's similar to the actor that's up there, that's more genuine and kind of, I think, serves the show better. I know now doing the alternate position, which is great. I'm more free to have my own version of Evan Hansen, which is really great. Obviously under the umbrella of who the character is and all the knowledge that I gain from the creative team, the director and everything, and knowing the show so well. But there's definitely a little bit more freedom now in that position, because I go on weekly and I have kind of more ownership over the character, I guess you could say.
Right. And how do you, Michael Lee Brown, how do you approach the character versus the other people you've seen play the role?
I would say that, it's a hard question. I would say that each actor brought wonderful things to the characters. I mean, to Evan Hansen. Obviously, Ben Platt basically founded Evan Hansen. I mean, he created the character.
Right.
Excuse me. He created the character, and so I think took. I think I definitely, for me, what was very helpful was obviously watching what Ben created, seeing what happened, talking to all the creative teams, talking to Michael Greif and everything. But I think what I bring to the character is just my own, obviously, experiences and my own, which any actor, I guess, could say is my own experience and my own perception of the character and how I feel Evan Hansen would be, experiencing these things based on the knowledge that I'm given about the character, because he's such a relatable character. Everyone can relate to Evan Hansen, even just from waving through a window. I mean, everyone's had those experiences, we've all gone through those times. And so I think tapping into that, no pun intended, is very interesting. And so taking my own experiences, and I hope that, when I go up there and it comes across that way, which I think it does,
Do you have firsthand experience and stuff? Do you have any experience with like the unfortunate side of bullying and whatnot, like from your own past?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if I fortunately don't. I would never felt like I've been bullied, but I knew kids who were. And I like to think I was always a friend to those kids, and I never partook in bullying, of course, but we were aware of it. And I think it's always important to reach out to those kids and reach out to those people that maybe not even standing up to the bully, but reaching out to the kids that are being bullied and talking to them and being friends with them and caring for them, which I think is as important as instead of just watching it happen or and stuff like that. But I think I definitely can relate to feeling left out, feeling alone, or I remember going to high school. I joined when I went to Pennington School. It was a private school in Jersey, and I didn't know anybody at the school, and that was hard. I felt like everyone else knew each other, and so it's really hard to get acclimated to a community when you don't know anyone, And so that took a while to kind of get friends and stuff like that. But it's always just important to remember you're not alone, obviously.
Yeah.
Hashtag you're not alone. But it's so true. And I think it feels good to play a character like Evan Hansen because I know kids who are like that. And I knew families who went through similar situations like the topics of the show and who were affected by that. And so that topic alone is something that's always been very, very special to me without giving anything away. And so I feel very grateful to get to share this story with people and feel like I'm helping, in that. And the letters we get from kids and at the stage door and that they see the show and they're so affected by it in such a powerful, positive way, which is really, really great. And so my heart goes out to, obviously everyone who sees the show.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about the stage door experiences.
Yeah.
I feel like Dear Evan Hansen came around at a point where the kids, where the generation of kids who grew up not knowing what it's like. Sorry, let me rephrase. The generation of kids who have grown up to not know what it's like to not have the internet.
Yeah, that's so, yeah.
They are now, able to be young adults.
Yep.
And are finally able to express themselves in ways that the show is kind of bringing them into this way of being able to allow them to do. And the the hashtags and you are not alone and you will be found.
Yeah.
I've followed some of that. It's been an incredible movement.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I love how the show will they'll put together the fan videos.
Yes, yeah.
Have you've seen those?
Oh, of course, yeah.
So if you want to find the videos, go to dearevanhansen.com. There's the videos on there. They're incredible. But it's like fan submission, this montage of everyone singing these great songs.
Yeah, no, it really is. And it's also all throughout the world too. I mean, I saw like a video the other day from people in Australia singing You'll Be Found. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, no, it's really wonderful. What was we were going to say something? I forget what it was.
Something about the stage door experience.
Oh yes, yeah.
I guess more specifically, when you're Evan versus Connor versus Jared, do people treat you differently outside? Yeah,
I would say for sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously Jared is kind of more the comic relief of the show, and so when you get that, people say, "Oh, you're really funny," or it's nice to have that in the show. And with Connor, obviously, without giving anything away, the subject of what Connor represents essentially, and the character of who he is, is something that really speaks with people. And me, of course, like I said, I knew people who were very affected by that. And then for Evan Hansen, just that that overall feeling of wanting to be a part of something and want to feel connected to something. So I think that kind of even just how each character represents playing that character, you definitely get a response differently when you meet the people at the stage door, or the letters that you get from the people that saw you as that character. And it's always funny to see people go, "Oh, I saw you as Jared," or then "I saw you as Connor," and I saw you as Evan, and that's really cool too, and just to see that that reaction is always a lot of fun for sure.
I really like how social media has allowed fans to connect with actors now on the Broadway stage, and for the forefront of my mind is like Ashley Park.
Oh,
from Mean Girls.
Yeah,
always doing. She's doing like live streams of putting on her makeup before every show, and she's talking about like James Eigelhart posts the fan art that he gets, and it's incredible the kind of stuff that I'm sure for decades everyone's always received.
Yes,
but now you as being behind the curtain are able to share that with those of us in front of the curtain.
Yep.
And what is? I guess. Let me ask a question about that. Is there something that sticks out? What's been the most impression? What's made the biggest impression on you in terms of something you've received from a fan?
I mean, so many things, but probably one, the fan art's really beautiful. I mean, there's so many talented kids. It's unbelievable. The drawings and things they make, paintings, unbelievable. It's really talented. And also just really the letters you get. I mean, it's really heartfelt letters. It's unbelievable. Like some of them, like I'm tearing up from reading. I'm like, wow, like this is really beautifully written and just so heartfelt, And it really makes you feel good that you're doing a service by doing this show, which is always a type of art or theater. Art is theater. Theater is art. But any type of performing that I really care about is really what my goal is for sure. And so getting those is really very, very inspiring. And it not that I love doing the show for so many reasons, including just the music in general and the writing and everything, but also, like I said, the moral that's behind it, and getting those letters keeps inspiring you each day to continue to perform at your best. But back to what you said before too, about the whole living without, social media and that's all such a positive thing in terms of, having people get inside scoop about the Broadway show and everything. That's all really wonderful. But yeah, it's really interesting. Like, even I grew up for a while without social media. Like I don't think I got a Facebook until high school or something, and didn't have I had a flip phone until 8th grade. So, all you could do was text, and we used AIM and everything, which was at home, with away messages and all that stuff. And so we had one computer in the house, like that was it. And so it's just unbelievable how, it's how different that is now. And I think what's really cool about the show, talking about that and how that alone makes one feel alone in a way, a poet. But it's true. It's just that whole concept of tapping on the glass and just always, feeling left out, and that maybe somebody else's life is better than theirs just by what they're posting on social media, when that's really not the case. Everyone's going through something. Everyone knows somebody who's going through something. And so we can't live in that fantasy world of that, Well,
that's the thing too. I feel like if you're going to follow somebody on social media, you either want to see only the good stuff or like only the bad stuff.
Yeah.
You want your life to be pleasantly
Why
in the
can't it
middle.
just be simple and pleasant and just,
Because those people are boring to follow.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
Like,
yeah, I
here's
guess.
my scrambled eggs I had for breakfast.
It's true. I know people taking pictures. I know. It's true. You're right. That's the either one. It's hard to kind of, but it's crazy because it's it's upsetting because I think we get a lot of false reality from that, But there is a lot of positives to it, of course. Like anything else, there's a lot of good, for sure.
Right. And so in addition to, I'll change gears a little bit. In addition to the show, you're also, like you said, you're a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
So tell me about this side of your life outside of the show.
Yeah. So I kind of kept my songwriting. I did it a lot, like I said, since I was 10 or so. And I kind of kept it to myself for a while. I played at little things at school, like coffee houses and stuff like that.
At a coffee house at school?
Yeah, well, they called it a coffee house, but it was in like the little black box theater that they had at the school.
Not an actual
coffee house.
Like,
it was like they called it coffee house where everybody went perform. And they do something, of course. So I would do things like that.
I was like, we had a Burger King, not a coffee house.
Yeah, exactly. No, and then in college, I got more into it. And then finally, I finally was like, I got to start recording songs. And I have so many songs I've written over the years, and I've been going back to and going to continue to record more now. But I met Matthew James Thomas. He played Pippin, and he came to one of the shows a while ago, and that's we met. And I talked to him about my songwriting. We had a mutual friend, and he really liked the songs that I wrote. And so he actually produced my EP, The Way It Used to Be. It's on Spotify and all streaming services now, so please listen. And
The Way It Used to Be?
Way It Used to Be, yeah.
Way It Used to Be,
yeah.
okay.
We cut the but it.
Way It Used to Be. Michael Lee Brown on Spotify.
Yeah. And so that was kind of my first, just trying to getting things recorded and starting that journey of me getting my music out there as much as possible. And so I'm continuing to now write more and more songs and starting to continue to record them. But that was just a great way to kind of start. And it was great working with Matthew and collaborating with him. And we went up to Duncan Sheik's studio, and it's like in upstate New York, which is a cool place to record. And it's just kind of, it's something I really love doing, and I want to continue to do that.
What do you play?
I play guitar. Yeah.
So you play guitar.
Yeah.
And you have access to so much talent here in New York. Did you handpick who else was on the album with you? Who else was playing?
Well, actually, we had an engineer, and then we hired another friend of ours, Matt, who played a bunch of instruments along with Matthew. And so we kind of, just the three of us actually played everything, that they played. That's what's on there. And so I really give it up to them, because we were able to condense it and do it as fast as possible, but also quality, give it great quality. But now going forward, it's been great. Even I've done a 54 Below concert. I did a solo show back in September, and I played a couple of my original songs, and I had different players from the Broadway community. Actually, a lot of the Dear Evan Hansen band was in it, which was really cool. It was like basically Dear Evan Hansen band performed my concert, which was really great. It was really,
awesome.
Really awesome, like really great players. And so then going forward, I'm doing another solo show or encore of that in January. And
you will have done by the time.
I'm sorry. I just did another one in January 7th. And so and I hope we can continue to do more. And so it's nice to have that, getting to know these different amazing musicians, and it's exciting that the possibility of collaborating with them going forward would be really cool.
Do you see yourself as at a like a fork in the road right now, or is this two things that are completely coexistent and can happen in parallel?
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, it's I just love acting. Like, that's kind of always been my forefront, and I want to continue to do that and break into a lot of different roles that way. But I always want to continue to do songwriting, of course, paralleling that, which would be cool. So I see them as happening, coexisting for sure.
Do you like writing for yourself as a pop artist, or do you want to songwrite? Do you like songwriting for, like, you want to start writing for musicals or for movies or anything?
Yeah, it's actually interesting, because that's actually been like a recent thing where I've been writing songs, and I'm like, oh, I could do this, but it'd be better on this person. I've been thinking about that, like, oh, this would be better on a girl's voice. This would be better with this person singing, or this artist would sound really good on that. So that's something to kind of think about going forward. That'd be nice to kind of break into that and have other people and Broadway friends sing my songs. Would be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be actually really good.
Yeah.
You can use this idea. You can do your own cabaret next,
exactly.
but it's cabaret of your music where you're singing like every third song.
Exactly. So, that actually would be a good idea if I do that. Yeah. That'd be really cool.
Well, there you go. Heard it here first.
Yes, exactly. Look out for that.
Yeah. I was swiping through your Instagram profile last night.
Oh, okay.
And I saw pics with lots of fun people that have come to see
to
see the show. Do you have a standout person that's been like, oh my God, like, I think Katy Perry, right?
Yeah, Katy Perry. Yep. That was really cool. I am a big fan of Katy Perry, but I was a huge fan when she first came out. The One of the Boys album was really good, and I went and saw her concert twice. Mm-hmm. I was in her first concert was in Atlantic City, which was near Ocean City, which is where my family went in the summers for like the Jersey Shore, which is fun. So I went to that, and then I actually was in LA later that summer, and she happened to be there then, and I went to see her then. So it was really cool to meet her. But there's so many people. Steven Spielberg was really cool to meet, and that was it was amazing. And I literally just watched the BFG the night before, and he like happened to be there the next day. He directed that, and I was like, I just watched BFG last night. It was amazing, and it was really cool. That was really cool to meet him. Martin Short, I'm such a big Martin Short fan. That was awesome. Steve Martin, that was really cool.
I saw a pic with Christopher Lloyd.
That was amazing. That's like my favorite movies, Back to the Future, and so that was really cool. Oh my gosh, yeah, so many. I'm drawing a blank now, but it's been constant.
How do casts find out when someone like that's in the audience? Or you just come out on stage, you're like, oh crap, there's Katy Perry.
Yeah, well, they have there's a little board when you go off stage. There's a little board that has the celebrity's name on it, so you can see this is who was at the show, so that when you go get out of costume, you can go down and meet them.
Oh, do they do that before or like before
they do
the
it
show?
after at curtain call, yeah, so no one knows. Yeah. They don't want people to know beforehand like who's out there. And I which was cool. Beyonce came, which is really cool, and I was on for Connor at that point, and I saw her in the audience. So that was pretty funny. I'm like looking at Beyonce as I'm singing "Sincerely Me." I was like, that is funny. So I knew before the board came that it was Beyonce was there. So it's a lot of cool. Yeah.
That's
exciting.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah, I've always wondered about that. So then, just before we wrap up here, I guess what's next for you? Like, do you want to stay in Evan Hansen for a little while longer? Or,
yeah, for sure. I'll be here for a while. I love the show. I love working on the show. It's just wonderful. So I'll be here for a while, and of course, and just continuing to do my work along with Dear Evan Hansen and all my side work and continue to work here.
Audition your socks off.
There you go. You do that stuff too. See what else, other opportunities, of course. But I love being with the show. It's wonderful.
Nice. So we have 3 standard closing questions that I ask all guests here.
Oh, cool.
First, very simply, what motivates you?
What motivates me? I think going back to what I kind of said a little bit before, is always having a reason bigger than yourself for doing what you're doing, and always remembering why you love doing what you're doing. And I think that's super important. And I think going back to having a reason bigger than yourself for doing what you're doing is super important, because that can change with project to project. Dear Evan Hansen, it has a message that I'm very passionate about. And so that keeps me super passionate about the show. And every time I get to perform it, it keeps renewing me and keeps me inspired every time and motivated. And I think that can vary project to project. So I think those 2 things for sure is what, off the top of my head, I would say motivates me. Yeah.
And you kind of touched on this a little bit already, but what advice would you give to your younger self or younger people listening now, starting out down a similar path?
Oh yeah, I a little bit too. Yeah, always remember why you love doing it, and always keep learning, always keep staying in classes. I always think it's super important. Me, I always want to be an actor. I always should be in an acting class that should never stop, reading books about acting, all the different theories of acting, methods, and of course, and just kind of developing an understanding of that so that you can be a part of the discussion and continue to learn as much as you can, because the learning never ends.
Right. And then last question, if you could only see one show for the rest of your life, you could see it as many times as you want, what would you say?
Well, Dear Evan Hansen, obviously. But besides Dear Evan Hansen, that's hard. I would say I'm just going to pick one because it's at the top of my head. Probably just Phantom of the Opera, just because I just love the show. And it was sentimental to me. It was my first Broadway show to see, so that's kind of just cool. But I mean, there's so many good shows, and you like each show for different reasons. You might go to this show because the music's amazing, this show for the story, or whatever. But yes, besides Dear Evan Hansen, I would say that. Yeah.
Good. All right, I accept that answer. Yeah. That's a good show.
That's hard.
Yeah. So we can find you on Twitter at HeyMichaelLeeB.
Yep.
And Instagram at HeyMichaelLeeBrown.
Yes.
There's a character limit, I guess, on Twitter.
That's what it was. I couldn't get the Brown in there.
And then, of course, not but Way It Used to Be, the EP on Spotify.
Yep.
It's great. And then you can connect with me and more of the theater podcast at theater_podcast on both Instagram and Twitter, facebook.com/officialtheaterpodcast. And you can listen and subscribe via thetheaterpodcast.com. Everywhere you listen, please give an honest review. I want to read the reviews. Reviews are wonderful. We are produced by Jillian Hockman. And of course, a big thank you to our friends Jukebox the Ghost for this lovely intro and outro music. Michael Lee Brown, thank you so much for talking today.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
This has been wonderful.
It's great.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.